Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नमो भगवते
ओम नमो
वासुदेवाय।
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो
ओम नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Narayanam Namaskrityam
नारायणं
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
Naran Chaiva Narottamam
नरं चैव
चैव
नरोत्तमं
नरोत्तमं
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
देवीं
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 सरस्वतीं
सरस्वतीं
व्यासं
व्यासं
Tato Jayamudire
ततो
ततो
जयमुदीरये।
जयमुदीरयेत्।
Nashtaprayasu Bhadresu
नष्टप्राय
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
भद्रेषु
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
नित्यं
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 भागवते
भागवत सेवया
भागवतसेवया
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
भगवती
भगवति उत्तमश्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
भक्तिर्भवति
भवति
भक्तिर्भवति
नैष्टिकी।
नैष्टिकी।
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, titled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. And today's verse is verse number 15. Sariravan mano viryat
शरीरं
शरीरवान् मनोभिर्यत्
karma prarabdhe naraha
कर्म
कर्म
प्रारब्धे
प्रारब्धे नरः
nyayam vyabhiparitam va
न्यायं
न्यायं वा
विपरीतं
विपरीतं वा
विपरीतं वा
panchayate tasya hetava
पञ्चैते
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 तस्य
तस्य
हेतवः।
हेतव।
sariravan mano viryat
शरीरवान् मनोभिर्यत्
शरीरवान्मनोभिर्य
karma prarabdhe naraha
कर्म
कर्म
प्रारभते
प्रारब्धे
नरः।
नरः
न्यायं व्याविपरीतं वा
न्यायं
न्यायं
वा
वा
विपरीतं
विपरीतं
वा
वा
पञ्चैते तस्य हेतव.
पञ्चैते
पञ्चैते
पञ्चैते तस्य
तस्य
हेतव।
हेतवः।
Anyone would like to lead?
शरीरवान् मनोभिर्यत्
शरीरवान् मनोभिर्यत्
यत्
कर्म प्रा कर्म प्रारभते नरः।
यत् कर्म
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 प्रारब्धे
प्रारब्धेन ते
नमः
नरः
न्यायं वा विपरीतं वा
न्यायं
न्यायं वा विपरीतं
विपरीतं
वा
वा
पञ्चैते तस्य हेतवः।
पञ्चैते
पञ्चैते
पञ्चैते तस्य
तस्य
हेतव.
हेतवः।
Thank you very much. Word by word meaning. Sarira by the body.
Sharira by the body,
Vak speech.
walk, speech,
Manobhi and mind.
manobhi and mind,
Yat which.
yat
यत्
which
Karma work.
कर्म
karma work,
Prarabdhe begins.
प्रारब्ध
prarabdhe begins,
Nara a person.
nara a person,
Nyayam right.
न्याय
nyayam right,
Va or.
va or
Viparitam the opposite.
viparitam the opposite,
Va or.
va or
Pancha five.
pancha five,
Ete all this.
with all these,
Tasya its.
tasya its,
Hetava causes.
hetava causes.
Translation by Srivan Gajasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Whatever right or wrong
Whatever right or
Whatever
wrong
right or wrong
action a man performs
action in
action a man performs
by body, mind or speech
by body, mind or speech
is caused by these five factors.
is
by
caused by these five factors.
Anyone would like to read the purport by His Divine Grace?
the
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 word.
word
word right
Go ahead.
the word right and wrong are very significant in this work. Right work is work done in terms of prescribed directions in the scriptures, and wrong work is the work done against the principles of this scripture injection. But whatever is done requires these five factors for its complete performance.
Thank you, Prabhu. Let's all chant together. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Shwayam Rupa Kadamai Ham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpataruvyascha Kripa Sindhuvaiva च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे लाचैल निवास नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमो. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful sangha. We have a beautiful verse where Krishna is explaining about the follow up, because in the last verse, Krishna mentioned that there are 5 things which drives the outcome of any action. And in this verse, Krishna is just expressing little more by saying that whatever this BMW, body, mind, and word, body, mind, or speech, this whatever this BMW is doing whatever the man performs by these actions of the body or actions of the mind or actions of the speech is all caused by these 5 factors. Sometimes what happens, so just to recap, what are these 5 factors as we discussed in 14th chapter? What are the 5 factors? If anybody can remember, we can discuss. So there are 5 factors, right, which drives the outcome. Anybody would like to just unmute and speak a little bit about what are the 5 factors? The first is, even if I'm trying to lift this piece of pen, right? If I don't have a body, if I don't have a sound body, if I have a frail body, if I have a body which is paralyzed, I can't even lift this. So I need a body, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is the doer. I need my soul should instruct me to lift this pen, because everything happens under the direction of the soul, and because it is the result of any activity. And then I have to have my senses. I need to have, motor skills. I need to have that senses, the 5 working senses, 5 controlling DTs. So I have this to need to have, all my senses working towards lifting it. So that's 3 things. And the fourth thing is chesta. Even if the pen is lying here, but I do not make any endeavor to lift it, chesta, then I cannot even lift the pen. And the fifth thing is, which is the ultimate cause, is daivam, the super soul. So there are 5 things. So here, when Lord Krishna is taking from 18.14 to 18.15, he is referring to panchayata. Panchayata means these are the 5 things. So what are the 5 things which decides the outcome of any action? Any action you end up doing, whether you're doing a job, these are the 5 things which always drives you the outcome. The body, you need to have a fit body. You need to make sure you're soulfully engaged. The third thing is the senses should be cooperating enough, motor skills. There are people you see who, some of them come to our temple as well. They have very difficulty walking from one building to another. Someday, God forbid, it happens to us. We will have everything, but we will not be able to do anything for that matter. So the senses are very important. And also, we need to have the endeavor, we need to have the mentality, and the last one is the super soul. So those are the 5 things. So what Krishna is saying in this verse, that sariravan manoviryat. Sarira means the body, and manovi means mind, BM, and W is words, vak, speech. So whatever we are doing by virtue of this BMW is dependent on these 5 things, because last verse which we discussed 2-3 weeks back, 18.14, which was actually eye opener for all of us. Actually, we think that we are giving this determination, then you'll see somewhere whenever there will be some IIT entrance exam that uh, your we will motivate you to get IIT by virtue of your and we'll put everything into your practice. But practice is just 1/5 of it. There are 5 things which drives the outcome of the work. And Krishna is going a little bit deeper here by saying that whatever right or wrong, now he established 5 things, and now he's adding the BMW on the top of it. He's talking about the body, mind, and word on the top of it. And then he is giving a color of right or wrong. So last verse 18.14, which we discussed 2-3 weeks ago, was very interesting for all of us, and all of you asked a lot of questions. But on the top of it, if you want to put BMW, and then the outcome being right or wrong is driven by these 5 things. And these 5 things are already there. So now let's try to go a little bit deeper into what Krishna is saying. So as you know, there are 2 kinds of people. People who are lazy, right? They will have a body, they will not be soulfully engaged, they have all the right senses, but they will not put the effort. They're lazy. And super soul, they will say, let's devote everything to Lord, and Lord will take care. There are a lot of people, people who are lazy, who looks very focused, and sometimes you might think that they are Krishna conscious, and they will say, okay, I give everything to Krishna, and I surrender everything to Krishna, but they will not do the effort. They, in my term or our term, can be considered lazy, and the outcome is unsuccessful. And the people who are non-believers, for that matter, they will put everything in it. They will do everything. They will do hard work. They will do some, and they will not believe in God at all. And sometimes you might tell me that they are successful. How are they successful if they are not believing in the Supreme? And this statement of Krishna might turn out to be wrong. You know why they are successful? Even if they're not believing in the Super Soul, it's all because of their prarabdha karma. They have done good work, and they're reaping the benefits of that, and that's why they're successful. So to think that they're successful without the handiwork of the Supreme is futile. That's the reason why. So there are 2 kinds of people, and we just want to establish that these 5 things, if these 5 things are not aligned properly, our BMW will not go in the right direction. So now let's talk a little bit about what is right or wrong. So we talk about right or wrong, but the way the scriptures defines right or wrong is anything which is prescribed in the scriptures is right. Anything which is going against the principles of scriptures is wrong. So this right or wrong is a mindset which has been given to us, is impounded on us through our parents, through our teachers, based on their concepts. And we're not saying it is right or wrong. It is just that they are not conscious enough sometimes to imbibe those values. Some of the values which is prescribed in dharma, in the Vedas, in Upanishads, in Bhagavad Gita. So anything which is done right as per scripture is right. So Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when Yamraj is sending his uh, Yamduts to get a Jamil is being discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is mentioned, Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranita. Whatever Lord does, that is dharma. When Lord steals the clothes of the gopi, in the material sense, it may appear very incorrect for many people, but we have to understand the relationship between a supreme and devotee. When Lord steals butter in Vrindavan, it is not considered to be stealing. But if you end up trying something like that, it will be considered stealing. So we have to understand this dharma in a very different context as to why dharma is important. Dharma is something what Lord, through his disciplic succession, have enforced or rather inspired in various different scriptures, whether it is Vedas, Upanishads, or Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranita. That means whatever God does, that is dharma. And whatever God says, that is dharma. And sometimes God's views are incorrectly put in the minds of people like us. And that's the reason why people have a very incorrect impression of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and this is the classic example we keep bringing up again and again. When Suparnakha's nose was cut and Ravana came and stole Mother Sita, for some people who do not believe scriptures would say that Ravana did the right thing. And that is not right because it is against the postulate of the scriptures. So dharmantu saksha bhagavat pranita. Why did Lord steal butter? To give pleasure to his devotees. Why did Lord steal the clothes of the gopis who are some are of motherly age? It's to give pleasure to devotees. And that's why Lord has a very interesting relationship with the devotees, and that has to be understood with the right reception from devotees. That's the reason why a politician cannot write Bhagavad Gita. He cannot write Bhagavad Gita simply because he doesn't have the right consciousness to understand the Supreme, to write or create translations or write purports. Only a devotee who can understand the Supreme can write about Bhagavad Gita. And that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada is very particular about us reading the right content. Bhagavad Gita is not somebody's mental concoction that he or she can read and write anything they feel like. It has to be realized, it has to be understood. And we have to understand that this Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he was in the most, when everyone was in a most challenging situation on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So at that time, Lord is explaining if it was a total crisis when the battlefield is fighting each other and the person who is supposed to lead, who is supposed to be the general of the Pandavas, he is deciding not to fight. And that crisis is averted by this beautiful epic, which we call Bhagavad Gita, which is a life lesson for all of us. And if we do not know these five aspects, Panchaita, which Krishna is referring to, then we will indulge in all kind of things. We'll say that we gave the greatest effort, but we have done everything wrong in the past by by we have prepared for the exam, but in the meantime the way we prepared for the exam is we copied things, we did not attend, and everything is becoming outcome based. So in order to focus on the outcome, we have to recognize these five components or five factors which go into the outcome. And these 5 things are very, very important. We all have to preserve a strong body, a focused body with exercise. And that's when the kind of exercises you end up doing, or the so-called hatha yoga yogic practices you're doing, there's nothing wrong in that. Actually, at least it will get you some benefits. And likewise, we have to clean our soul by chanting uh, all the time, whenever we're remembering. Always think that there is somebody, and when you start surrendering, we'll get there. The 18th chapter, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja is coming up, where Lord is talking about surrendering ourselves, and then we have to engage our senses so that we get envy, anger, and all these anarthas, all these toxins out of our body, so that we get our senses right. Whenever we look at something, we look with the right perspective and not get contaminated with the other um, uh, consciousness, which is going to gravitate you and will be taking you away from the supreme. And we have to also give effort. So Krishna consciousness, many times people do not understand Krishna consciousness properly, and they so when Srila Prabhupada was in Canada and was preaching, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was actually an executive in a company. And Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, every day he would go and do his office work in suit. And in the evening, he will come to Srila Prabhupada for the classes. And Srila Prabhupada would refer to him as the greatest, as a sannyasi at that point in time, because he was totally detached from the outcome of the work. At the time, ISKCON was in infancy, and we needed a lot of money to prolong ISKCON. And Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, at that time a young executive or a manager in a big company, used to just get the whatever they he would do, the fruits of the work, and he was totally detached to the fruits of the work. He will just give that to Srila Prabhupada to further the Krishna consciousness. And because of that, daily and daily inculcating that, Srila Prabhupada referred to him as a sannyasi in a cloth, because he's totally detached. He's a total renunciate, and which is exactly what in the beginning of 18th chapter we discussed, the difference between a renunciation and a renunciate in terms of sannyas and tyaga, and what is the difference between them. In a way, there is no difference, but in a way, there is difference. So, so thinking that we are not detached, and because we are happens to be in karmic cloth, in the right consciousness, you can be detached even with this perspective. So you can all lead a life of Krishna consciousness, and be a renunciate even in your house, by not getting attached to the surroundings. And that is why Krishna consciousness is a testament for all of us, because we can stay in our own lives and end up controlling ourselves, focusing our attention to a higher taste. And when we end up doing that, we become the greatest renunciate. And Krishna consciousness goes step by step by step in making us a better person, day by day by day. Even in the current state, don't have to go to Himalayas to end up doing that. So because these 5 things, as long as it's it's controlled, and that's where there is this beautiful references to Gita Mahatma, which should get you clear. When Gita Sastram idam punyam yapatet prayata puman. That means, if when you think about Bhagavad Gita, you think about uh, the Surya Dev, or the sun god. When sun god is trying to evaporate water, he's not discriminating between the water of Ganges or the water which are in the filthy places, which is filled with faces and you know wrong things. So he is actually evaporating all the waters. And then, because of the filtering process of evaporation, he is going to give clean rain to everybody. So likewise, Gita doesn't discriminate between anyone for that matter. Gita is for everybody. Krishna consciousness is for everybody. And once you understand the power of Bhagavad Gita through these scriptural references, it gets us as better human beings. We become Krishna conscious. We start to love God. We understand that we need not fear God. We should love God. And for loving God during his birthdays or during his festivals, we end up doing things which are relevant to his pleasure. And likewise, the Sarvan Upanishads Gavo Dugdha Gopalanandana. That means Krishna, this Bhagavad Gita, which is the Gita Upanishad, which is the topmost of Upanishads, uh, is just like a cow. And Krishna is milking, is churning, is squeezing milk out of this Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna, like a calf, is taking the milk and is purifying himself and through this nectarian milk originating from Bhagavad Gita, and then he transforms himself, and then he goes on to war and wins the war. So it is a practical example of how to lead life and how to uh, lead our consciousness in the direction. And these five things, as long as we are, so that's the reason why if these five things are aligned, we are successful. So if for some reason we do not we do not become successful, don't lose heart. Keep progressing, keep doing the chesta as Krishna is referring to, and Lord is going to align, and your pious credits are going to uh, increase, and it gives us an objective to surrender to the supreme proprietor, and then you engage in the right consciousness, and your body becomes better, your mind and consciousness becomes better, and your words, the kind of words you end up using, becomes better, because these are the outcome of the five things which you are nourishing all the time. You are focusing on it, and you are engaged in service which is purifying you. Sometimes what happens is, by constantly doing something again and again, you sharpen that. When you think about, initially you didn't know drive, but soon you came to US and you started driving, or Canada you started driving, and now you can drive so fluently that you are excelling the process. Likewise, devotional service, as you do more and more and more, you gain some virtues which helps you maneuver through this life. After getting Krishna consciousness in your life, you will realize that you're not feeling that sad when a bad things happens to you, because bad things happens to all of us. But Krishna consciousness gives us that strength to face the negative repercussions in life, because now we know that there are five things which drive. You just did your enthusiastic chesta, which is 20%, but at the end of the day, the thing which matters is is a lot of other aspects. So focus in these five aspects. Always think whether my body is in right shape, my enthusiasm is in the right state, whether my soul is clean enough, whether my senses are working properly, or is it digressing all the time. And always surrender to the super soul. And these five things, when it aligns, your ability to recognize the outcome of the work, whether your body or mind or words, BMW, will be coherent, and you will not feel frustrated, and the frustration will slowly disappear from your system, and you will be always ready to recognize that whatever you're getting in your life is a remnant or a prasad of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and through that you can lead your life very blissfully. So with that, I'd like to end here. Any question, comments? Please discuss. Let's discuss. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments? Any comments, Prabhuji? Mataji's? Any thoughts about today's discussion? Anything you want to share? Any reflection?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Nice
Krishna.
class, Prabhuji, yeah, as always. So, Prabhuji, just wanted to know these five factors, right? I can see body, but how the mind involves when we, think something, right? When we something negative or something we think positive. So that time, how these five I factors will come into play, like words also. Can you give an example, Prabhuji?
Definitely. So let's talk about mind, for example. So when we are not focusing our soul in chanting, for example, we are supposed to chant to fix our mind in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we are not fixing our mind in, and it's constantly going all around the place, then what will happen is when the outcome, it's starting with chanting, but the outcome when you end up doing your work, you're writing a program, or you're just trying to go and do some grocery, and you realize that you pick up all the vegetables which are not fresh. Your mind is somewhere else. So so in the context of the body, mind, and words, if these five things are not aligned, for example, to your point, body is one, your mind, this for mind, for perfection of mind, when Arjuna was trying to shoot, he is a great archer actually. In terms of his ability to shoot in the dark or whenever, he can, he is a master. But at the time of the war, when he saw Vishmadev and other relatives, his guru, his hand started shivering, and his bows and arrows fell down. It is precisely because his mind was, and in the second chapter, Krishna goes on to explain the mind. So if we focus our mind in Krishna consciousness, if we focus our mind on the Supreme, the the the, the unnecessary thoughts which we all get into in all our life will not happen, and we will lead a very focused life because we're focusing on the lotus feet of the Supreme. And the people who focus, who do a quality chanting in the morning, or who focus their attention whenever they lead the life of, like, say for example, you have a wife and you expect, your mind always says, wants to, your wife to take care of you. But if you think, in your mind, if you think your wife is there to serve the Supreme, so she makes nice dishes or bhoga for the Supreme, and whenever you come back from office tired, you take the remnant of that. So you're basically channelizing your mind through the Supreme. That's why your life becomes Krishnized. Your life becomes blissful because you're focusing your attention through a different channel, and you become more sublime in the outcome. So that's mind, Prabhu. Did that help, or we can discuss some more top examples?
No, Prabhuji, really helps us. So just wanted to know then how the out of these five factors, right? How the super soul, come into play. Let's say if I thinking something negative on my mind, so I was thinking it is due to the maybe the modes of uh, nature. Let's say if I'm into mode of ignorance or passion, maybe right. That's why maybe I'm thinking those negative thinking coming into my mind. Because out of these five factors, body is one, the soul is one, then the senses, then the modes of material nature also, right? And then the super soul. So how the super soul here when I'm thinking something negative?
Yeah, so that is in my mind, Prabhu, that is called kripa. That is, see, that's called mercy. So let's discuss a little bit about how super soul comes into this dynamics of these five things. Sometimes what happens, super soul has the accounting of all the past and the present and the future. But when super soul sees that the chesta or the enthusiasm you are doing, it will benefit you, but it will not benefit so many people. It will put somebody in harsh. So he has the mercy. He can offer you the mercy. He may not offer you the mercy, and that is the reason why the sometimes the God's decision is final. So sometimes we end up doing things in the broader scheme of things. Everything looks good, but there are certain things we don't realize. And you might have you might have seen some situations where you wanted to do something, but you failed. But after 2 3 months of the failure, you realize that because of my failure, I prolonged something more in some other aspects of life. And that is why you realize it is good that Lord did not give me that thing 2 months back. So sometimes we are unaware of our positive outcomes. And Lord understands because Lord, we are the child. We are the seed giving father. Aham bija pitta pradapita. And so how to have faith is often, so there are virtues. If we practice virtues, practice all the virtues, we have compassion. We do not hurt anybody. We are humble. So Krishna consciousness is a consortium where all the good qualities can be nurtured. And once this nurturing takes place, we end up becoming better human beings. And those are the aspects which go in the acts of the Paramatma, the super soul, who is in our heart, looking at the soul in defining and blessing and giving mercy to us. And it's not easy, it's not predictable. But if something bad is happening in our life, maybe you're getting rid of all the bad toxic mortgages you have, and good days are with us for future. And with that mindset, if you think in a positive manner, we'll be able to guide our life properly in a very positive manner. Is that okay, bro?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Yeah, because in I remember in one of the verse in the third chapter, Lord says that whatever work we do generally, it is the influence of the modes of material nature, right? We think that we are the doer of action, but actually it's done by the modes of action, mode of material nature, right, Prabhuji?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the modes of material nature gives or sways the outcome. But the modes of material nature is working under the jurisdiction of the supreme, and that is where you might be referring to Maya Dakshina Prakriti. Maya Dakshina Prakriti means this under the jurisdiction of the supreme personality of Godhead. Prakriti, modes of material nature, is working, and 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 if the supreme Lord, under whose jurisdiction the modes of material nature is coming, sometimes you feel angry, sometimes you have a very passionate behavior, sometimes you have a very ignorant behavior, and wherein you end up sleeping longer. And we all are controlled by these modes, but these modes of nature is working under the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is where that fifth point is very, very important, that sometimes because of that, and sometimes we'll see, look at the Indian cricket team. I mean, they gave the best shot. I mean, they won 10 at a trot, but the 11th game didn't come the way. And that is precisely, it's not as if they did not give the best. They gave the best, but they just couldn't give the best for the last game. And they lost the World Cup in 2023. So, all encompassing, there is that fifth factor which all of us neglects, but we should realize that we give your best, but leave everything rest to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other comments, relations, reflections? Any questions, comments? Hope all of you are doing well. There is snow outside, so please stay warm and wear shoes by which you do not slip, because and hopefully it clears off soon after tonight, and hope this 2024 brings you closer to the Supreme in your ability to love Him, in your ability to serve Him, in your ability to surrender to Him, because more and more you understand the views, the teachings of the Supreme, you will feel composed, calm, and you will feel very calm in your hearts, and it will give you a very blissful experience. Any final words before we close? Govil Prabhu or Mataji, you have joined us after a long time, so thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Were you able to hear the class and
Yeah,
discussion, Mataji?
yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
I
Everything
think,
all right, Mataji?
yeah, but every Sunday or Saturday I am so busy. Sometimes in kitchen or sometimes outside, so I cannot join.
Hope your health is good.
Yeah, a little bit cough cold. It's okay.
Okay. So thank you, Mataji, and thank you, everyone. Any final words before we end?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. So let's offer obeisances at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas by saying Vancha kalpataru vascha kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnava vrinda ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. The Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. We'll end here. Thank you so much.
Thank
Dandavad.
you.
Hare
Hare Krishna.